going to speak on the topic international business. International business is important because it helps our domestic and international companies to grow and succeed in an increasingly globalized world, and this is the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister. Dr. Davish Jain is acknowledged as a living legend in India's oilseed sector and a pillar of the Indian agriculture industry. Dr. Jain, President of the Prestige Group of Industries, is a dynamic and forward-looking industrialist. Now I invited Dr. Davish Jain to share his wisdom.
Jai Janendra. At the outset, it's an honor to host you all in the hallowed prince of Prestige Institute of Management and Research at our incubation center here. Please pardon me to speak today with a sitting posture because of my problem in my spine, which has been actually being treated by none else than Dr. Pravesh Kanthedji. So for a month, I've been asked not to exert, and that's the reason that I was not with you from the morning. The president and the team of Terapanth Professional Forum Indore approached for organizing this event, and I said, at any time for any such occasion, it would be our pleasure to, extend a welcome to you at our premises. We have number of facilities here within this campus. So I said that they said that you should also speak on this occasion. I said, well, I would love to do that, but lately because of my problem, I was not very sure whether I would be able to attend and meet all of you this morning. So please allow me to speak in English, because what I thought that instead of giving you any insight about Jainism or something, because you are all more learned than me, I would say that so let me only take this occasion to share some of my international experiences, which is nothing but 100% facts, which I have my own. I have led it, by myself into a situation which was unprecedented and was affecting not only our industry, but even, at time was seen to, I would say, tarnish the image of the country as a whole in the international market. So let me just give you the background. We are into agro-based industries, particularly processing soybeans, which is one of the primary kharif crop in central India, both in Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra and part of Rajasthan. And it is, just to say, because many of you may not be aware what is the significance of this crop, to just tell you that now we have two crops in India. One is known as kharif crop, that's winter crop. The other is rabi crop, that is summer crop. Winter crop is largely rain-fed crop, and in all crops in India, soybean, is so significant that it is second largest acreage in kharif in India. So you people may not be aware that after rice, this is the second largest in kharif. In rabi, I think again the largest would be wheat, and so on with other oil seeds. But this one crop today in India, we produce about 1.2 12.25 crore tons, that is 12.5 million tons. And if you take an average of 50,000 rupees a ton, the whole thing would be what, 70,000 crores as a crop. And then we value add and convert into very significant oil meal, which is the after extracting oil, which is used for as a cooking medium. Soybean oil is one of the very good oil. The residual part is the protein part, which we generally say cake. So the meal part, which is high in protein, has tremendous, usage and demand all over the world. And this crop is started in India mainly as an export-oriented crop, which means that the products of soybean after extraction of oil, the residual part was largely exported. That was until 90s. I would say as much as 85% of what we process, the end product was exported. So we have cultivated markets. And to say about my own company, Prestige Group is the pioneers in India amongst the soybean sector. And we started into soybean industry. We started putting up our first plant in year 1979, and the plant got on stream in January 1981. But when we say that, and what we are known that my father, Padma Shri Dr. N. Jain, he is been titled as a soya man of the millennium, and I would say like a father of soybean industry in India, has done a lot for promotion of soybean cultivation, helping farmers. What he did helped almost 3 million farmers of our state way back in mid 80s to almost double their income within a couple of years. So the crop has been important in terms of its foreign exchange earning. My own company used to be the most prominent company in Madhya Pradesh, rather the first ever recognized trading house in the state of Madhya Pradesh. We were recognized as trading house in year 1989, and we were the 13th largest net foreign exchange earner of the country. So as our family was among the pioneers, my father led this industry as the chairman of the Soybean Processors Association of India, SOPA, in 87, 86, 87 and 87, 88. Now, after almost 8 years, in mid-90s, I was nominated as chairman of the same organization, at a very young age of 38, 39. And but it was 1997 which I would recall to take you to that situation when we had a bumper soybean crop, almost like an increase of over 30% in a year. The soybean crop is harvested sometime in end of September, early October. So 97 September, October, we saw the bumper crop. The farmers even could not collect the crop from their fields, and the harvested crop remained in the fields, in agriculture fields, for further cleaning and getting the seeds out of it, because that was such a huge output they got that year. Now what happens that during this period, generally the farmers let the crop gets dried, sun dried, and then they do the threshing and get the beans out of it. But leaving that crop in the fields saw very severe the problem in terms of incessant rains in uh, beyond in the month of second half of October, getting through to November, and even in early December. Now, because the crop remained in the fields, after harvesting, there was this rains which almost like it was drenched into the rain and rainwater in the fields, and the crop uh, could not see the sun, the drying up, and then the moisture retained there. The normal moisture in a crop at the time of harvest is around 12 to 13%, but during the course of storage, it is brought down to almost 10% and even lower than that. But that particular year, the harvested crop had moisture in excess of 30%. So it was all water-soaked soybeans we got in our factories, but not what to do because you have huge crop. That year, I think it was in more than 6 million tons, 60 lakh tons. So there was a challenge. We have to run our factories. Generally we used to sell our product, the soybean meal, which is the protein mainly utilized for animal feed, to be sold into throughout Asia. So generally there's the contracts start to take place in the month of August, sometimes even in July, but August, September, this major trading takes place in international market for Indian soybean meal. So the contracts were there on hand, and when October, in the beginning, when we got the crop, it was excellent. Good rains resulted into good size of beans, very good quality beans. But since I said that by the time we just started to get our crop into our factories, then this heavy downpour rain started, which did not allow the farmers to take the farm, thresh the beans and get the clear beans, with them, and they just kept it in the fields. This water affected soybeans were a hell of a problem for the industry. They continued to process these beans, but the result was that we were not able to weather the crop. We had never seen crop with that high moisture content of over 25-30%. So we were not able to process it and bring down the moisture content in the end product, which is soybean meal meant for exports. All this actually resulted into a processing of beans and producing soybean meal, which in fact I would say in real terms was unmerchantable. And what happens, since there were India used to sell their soybean meal not directly, but mostly through the intermediary multinational traders or transnational companies who had their offices in India and also in these destination markets all over the world. They're there. So they had the link between the producer and the buyer or the end user. So they used to collect, buy from all the processors into small quantities and collect the total meal at the ports and bring in their own ships or vessels to take those cargoes and ship out to the different destinations. And mostly it was all into Asia. I think there was hardly a country where Indian soybean meal was not exported. Now, when the contracts are there, the ships have been already chartered and lined up, and then we have in the meantime a soybean meal produced containing very high moisture. It's not only the high moisture problem, it was also the development of fungus and also the change of color of the soybeans and soybean meal in turn. Now all those things were never seen in past, but somehow uh, the multinational traders understood that this is a problem which is now with everyone, and probably all the cargoes being received at the port for onward shipments had this issue of high moisture soybean meal. Now there was kind of a problem. They started rejecting the cargoes one after the other, and at the same time, even in replacement, you cannot really give them anything better in reality. So this led to a problem, and somehow what they did, that under the pressure of the chartered vessels in the port and incurring damages and detention, they somehow made certain adjustments on the price by deducting the quality rebate on those cargoes from the normal level. They generally for every percent of moisture they deduct 1:1 kind of thing. So for every 1% they will deduct 1%. But since the limit was if it is 12%, it is actually was the cargo was coming at 14 to 16%, 13, 14, 15, 16% cargo. So they applied double, triple, even 4 times of normal rebate by negotiating with the suppliers whose cargoes were rejected at the port. And under the pressure, the suppliers or the producers and the shippers had no choice but to get rid of those supplies and get their money in cash. So in that process, whatever they did, those cargoes were loaded on those vessels, and they started shipping, and the voyage time from India into the Far East and Southeast Asia is minimum 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and sometimes even 4 weeks. Now, since there was a delay in shipping because of this rejection, the cargoes even started getting deteriorated in terms of the color and quality content. This has become even more serious situation. Now, once the cargoes were started reaching the destinations, and that was sometimes the earlier the first shipments from October was in good quality, because there was that time some immediate harvest was realized. But when October end, when the rain started, those cargoes which started arriving in November end and December and even in January into destinations, there was series of vessels getting stranded, rejected one after the other, and a chaos kind of a situation was there, where one after the other country we exported to Japan, China, South Korea, Philippines, all Southeast Asian countries, Thailand, Indonesia. So the government, the rejection started taking place, and the government started because what happens, the Indian suppliers, in fact, dealing through those multinational companies, they had already been paid after those deduction of quality rebates. So their contract got almost like over at that point of time, which means that it was a settlement between the supplier and the real multinational exporter. So, but it doesn't make deducting the value doesn't improve the quality of the material. The material is as such. So, and when the end buyers, the ultimate buyers or the end users started to see the cargo, they refused to accept it. There was huge problem. But these multinational companies deal with these end users and ultimate buyers in a big way. Not only with Indian material, but they get supplies from all over the world for different agriculture products, and which they sell and distribute into those markets in millions and millions and even in billions of dollars. So it so happened that they started complaining to Indian embassies in these countries and to the Indian Ministry of Commerce and Industry, saying that the Indian supplies received are like totally rejected, not merchantable or usable, and they have paid the money through their letter of credits, and now they are into a kind of a huge loss, and they started claiming all those money back, and then asking us, the multinational companies, to deal with that cargo, not to accept it. So at least the complaints came from, I think, 5 major countries at that time, and it became so one after the other. The Joint Secretary in Ministry of Commerce, who was responsible for agriculture exports from India, he rushed to Indore and wanted to have an immediate meeting with the officials of our association, Soybean Processors Association of India, which is the national apex body, SOPA, for soybean sector in India, and incidentally the headquarters is in Indore. That time, 97, I had 2 terms as chairman of SOPA, but then I think there was another chairman, but the export promotion committee of soya products, they kept me to lead that committee, although I kept leading that committee after relinquishing the office of chairman for 13 years consecutively. So there was a meeting on behest of Joint Secretary Ministry of Commerce, was called all processors and the exporters gathered in SOPA, and he started firing like that you have cheated the foreign buyers by supplying this kind of material, which is and got your money, and they all approaching government of India for with their claims, and what we would, unless you solve this matter immediately, they would cancel all export licenses of all the companies, and is threatened very badly that serious complaints, including taking this matter through criminal offense, would be initiated against all these exporters. The association then president conveyed that, sir, we have already got our cargo decided with the actual exporters, so those multinational companies, and they have deducted a huge rebates from us and taken this cargo, and we thought that probably we do not have a direct privity of contract with those overseas buyers, because we don't deal directly with them. Our contract ceases once we deliver it at the port to these companies. So it appears that he was not convinced, that since the cargo originated from your end, even if you have allowed them with some rebates, the cargo is not merchantable, and your liability would not cease. You would ultimately have to solve the problem. So he said, you decide and let me know by tomorrow morning what you are going to do. So after he left the meeting, there was a meeting again convened of all the processors and exporters in SOPA, like a very situation which is very emergency kind of a situation, lot of claims on the heads. On one hand, we have already passed on the quality deductions rebates to our buyers, who are the multinational companies, and then still the problem is not solved, and the government is wanting us to resolve the issues. So everyone, including our past chairman, our chartered, the first chairman, everyone started discussing, well, just understand, we have already finalized our deals. We do not have any access to the ultimate buyers. Our contract is all over. they have, we have mutually decided the deduction amount, and we have already passed on those claims to them. And why should we now, after almost 3 months, have to get into this all rut? Because this is not going to be a problem which we can resolve. And so let this be dealt by those companies. And like that, everyone started to shirking away from the real problem, as if they have nothing to do with this, these kind of claims and cargoes which ultimately the buyers have received. Just imagine, we as an industry or a processor have to process all this soybeans year after year. This is not one season business. Next year again, we have to buy the soybean from the farmers, process, and we have to produce that product and to export, because 85% market is only overseas. So what we'll do with this cargo? So everywhere, if it goes to be, kind of shut out for India, no more Indian meal, because for multinationals, even they can, sometime you decide, okay, we pay off the claims to the ultimate buyers, or we deal with the cargo, or whatever we do, but we put a cross against India, because it's all only a problem for us to deal like this, and getting in turn, this kind of material. What to do with this thing? So they will have supplies from any other country for that matter, because buying in dollars, the world is at their command, to procure and supply. So all this discussion within the association, nobody wanted to say. They said, you keep quiet. The time is of endurance. It will fade down. Today it is hot. The Joint Secretary is furious. Leave him for a while. Things will, I think will die its own, with the passage of time. On the other side, I was listening to all this. What is that being, discussed? What is being the kind of, mindset of our own industry? After all hearing, I said, I would like to say something. So yes, sir, you please, what you have in mind? I said, this is okay for a matter of argument, that our contracts are all up to our port of shipment and the delivery, and we have been paid after those deductions. So our contracts are all finalized, and we have nothing more beyond that point, or liability, in term. But I said that, look, we have an industry. Maybe that this year we run away and we said, this is, you deal with that matter. We have nothing to do. This is a very short-sighted approach. How would an agonized customer or an end user would perceive the whole thing and deal with this matter from their point of view, that they would feel that what they've paid has actually, what they've received is nothing, absolutely rotten material. So they don't just would accept that. Even if there are multinationals, you have to find a solution. So they asked me, what do you propose to do? So I said, well, the problem is before us, whether we want to appreciate or not. But think it from the other side, view from the other buyer's point of view. They will lose the faith and trust in us. They would not even entertain us next year. They would say, forget about India, we don't need any Indian material. What are you going to do with these processing plants where you put in millions of dollars? This situation, I think, is like running away from the problem on hand. They said, what you would like to do? I said, we should immediately mount a delegation to all these countries. He said, one of the past chairmen was listening to this. He said, Davish, you want to add fuel to the fire? There's already a furious buyer, and then buyers, they are already, the government, and you said that you go and do it. See, I think we are not equipped to handle this all situation. Let the ultimate, our buyers to whom we have sold, let them deal with them. I said, sorry, I beg to differ. This short-sighted approach and view would be very, very, I think, costly for us, and it is like running away from a problem which is on before us, and we wanting to, I would say, shirk away from these liabilities, and then for a while they thought, अभी क्या बोलेंगे, बोले इनको अभी ये बोल रहे हैं कि डेलीगेशन लेके जाओ, तो बोले ठीक है जाइए, मुझे बोलते हैं जाइए लेके जाइए. I said जाना है तो जाएंगे, वो भी जाएंगे, लेके जाएंगे, उसमें क्या, we will face it, and we'll face it. Preparation of a delegation of at that level with these countries which have such huge problems with cargoes worth millions of dollars, you cannot just, I would say, go unprepared. You cannot go talk to them into like you have no idea, or you don't have anything to do with this. So you to have a proper preparation in dealing with this situation and finding a solution. So, and then how do you, I must say, ensure, or you can, make those buyers given an assurance that's okay, what else is there, but we have taken all measures that it doesn't recur for future. What is that kind of, plan you have on hand? It took me 3 weeks to prepare for those meetings. The major shipments took place to China, Japan, South Korea, and Philippines. So it took 3 weeks to prepare, talk to our counterpart embassies in these countries, deal with the government joint secretary, and preparing with a plan to lead a delegation where major producers and exporters are represented in the delegation. One man may not be able to. They say that yes, they have come, talk to us, and gone. So we asked Government of India, Joint Secretary, sir, you come and you lead the delegation, and all from our industry, the major players would be part of the delegation. Yes, he said, but it is not, see, I have to deal, you have to, find a solution, you have to talk to them. I can certainly, be with you. So they designated me as a deputy leader. Leader has, of course, to be Government of India Joint Secretary in this case, because a lot of meetings in embassies are also decided with his presence, and we said that okay, we decide the date. It was month of February, and our first destination was Japan. So we made all the preparations. I got brochures printed in Chinese language. I got brochures printed in Japanese language, and of course in English. All what I had in mind about that, the kind of correction course, everything I tried to put a system in place. You see, just making plain talking may not really actually convince them that yes, they are serious. So I had made a plan to say that, number one, let us be honest about the state of affairs, why it has happened. Because you can gain a trust of a person if your disposition is honest, or you tell them the truth. When we reached Japan, it was almost like 16 hours of flight. No, not 16, 12 hours of flight via Hong Kong. And the delegation had an appointment at 3 p.m. in Tokyo, association headquarters, in Feed Association headquarters in Tokyo. Now what happens, your flight which was to arrive, I think by 11:30 or so in the morning, had to remain, could not land for more than 2.5 hours because there was a tornado kind of a situation. And then 3 o'clock, appointment was there. We landed from Narita airport to the hotel, 48 kilometers something distance. Just 14 hours of flight. Just put our bags there, got our brush, and he said another 20 minutes everyone has to be down. Down means you have to be in the lobby, and we have to reach, because 3 o'clock we cannot miss the appointment. That is the importance of timing in international business, or importance of meeting appointments. Sir, believe me, somehow almost there were total 9 delegates, including me and the government of Joint Secretary. 8 of them were there in the lobby to leave for the meeting. 1 remained there. I'm sorry. So he said, leave him. Don't wait for him. So we proceeded to the meeting venue. Sixteen of multinational top shosho, what we call in transnational companies of Japan, you name it, they are into that business, agribusiness. All their vice president, general managers were all into the boardroom waiting for the meeting, 3 o'clock. We were down at the building at 3 o'clock, exactly at 3 o'clock. By the time we could get into the boardroom, it's 4 minutes past 3 o'clock. The first thing, Joint Secretary apologized that we are late for the meeting by 4 minutes. Anyway, he says that, friends, we're thankful that you are here for a meeting, and I brought this delegation of the major processors and exporters of soybean meal from India, and they are the one who I think represent the major capacity. And with me is Dr. Davish Jain, who is the chairman of the delegation. I would like to hand over this mic to him for further discussion. That's it. That was the role of the Joint Secretary. Then you see the meeting starts, and I said, friends, we are here, number one, to get to have the first hand stock of the situation, exactly what is the issue and what is the problem. We are here only to understand that. Secondly, honestly, I confess that what has happened is not man-made. It is not that we try to deceive our buyers or end users by supplying something which is unmerchantable. Now, we have also studied that when we shipped this cargo, the cargo was weathered, and we got to understand the moisture content was not something which was very high. But since there was during course of storage and then onward shipment and the voyage time of the 3 weeks, more than 3 weeks to reach Japan, In those years, we had, see, old type of vessels, ships, to carry the cargo, which were not properly ventilated, and all this material goes in bulk, loose. So when it passes through this sea weather, it actually, bit an hygroscopic material, it catches more moisture. Actually, the sea weather is generally have more moist. So the problem gets aggravated there. And there was a case of spontaneous combustion taking place, which means that by the time vessels arrived, there were fumes and like smoke in the ship. So there was charring effect of the cargo because of high moisture, mold formation, and heating of the inherent heating of the cargo. So that was not the case when we shipped the cargo was really shipped. It was not that situation. So in the course of transit also there was further deterioration because of the sea voyage. We said that, sir, we have studied this, and this probably we were not apprehending any such thing eventuality, because before the cargo also was shipped on board of the vessel, the cargo was weathered, which was dried up in the port, so that the moisture level goes down. Anyway, let me tell you, Japan is a very formal society, they are very educated people. They understand, they go into depth. But the point was that the loss has occurred. They said their insurance companies have repudiated their claims, and they said their claims are not admissible. So which means that this is a total loss they have to bear. Then I said to them that, sir, I think situation is not as probably your underwriters or insurers have, tried to make, that this is something which was shipped into that state. Because many times, because this is a sea peril which has operated, now you need to, I think, put it into right. There's a panel of their survey, the insurance surveyors visit us in India. We will accompany them to the port. We will show them how the course of ship takes place, and they would be convinced that this is not the reality of the cargo which you have received. Cargo at the time of shipment was different, and what was received is different. So the export peril which is operated, so the claims should be admitted or should be paid. So they agreed to this thing. They nominated their company, Nichimen, I think insurance or someone. So they deputed their thing, which we took to them to the Indian ports when their team came here. Like that, we were very honest in this thing. Then said, what is that? You have shipped it. Now the problem is there. We cannot continue to receive cargoes like this and deal with you. We said, sir, we have understood, because even in past this has never happened. So our industry is also now trying to understand what measures are required to ensure that it doesn't recur. And in that sense, we have put up special dryer coolers in our plant. Then an added, every plant would have invested more than 1.5-2 crores for this additional equipment, so that any extra moisture is dried up within the process. Because this is now, you never know that next year again the same situation doesn't happen. So these kind of things. Then we said, sir, generally what is happens that we have an insurance survey conducted at the time of shipment at the port of loading. Now what we will do, we have decided that we will have two surveys. One at the time of dispatch cargo from our factories, from our processing units, and the other at the time of loading the cargo in the ships. So if there is even something wrong, it could be stopped then and there at the point of dispatch. So this kind of things, and then we would be more careful in terms of what kind of input moisture we have to say. All those things we try to put it with the right perspective, without any kind of, we gave them patient hearing. No, this thing, somebody, when there's an agonized buyer, you to give them a patient hearing. That's the minimum thing. Otherwise, they will, their grievances would go up further, So, but as I said, they are a very cultured society, Japan. Everyone was with tie and suit, those 16 of them. So they did not, I would say, said anything which is, I would say, offending. Even receiving us and talking to them, and despite the fact there's a problem and millions of dollars cargo is involved. Next day we were to meet their very large cooperative named Zeno. This is one of the largest cooperatives, like we have Amul or someone in India. So we went there, the same thing, we explained to them. They brought us samples, their technicians and their lab quality control people were there. We discussed everything. Somehow we tried to pacify the whole thing, and we moved next morning to South Korea, Seoul. Now Seoul, South Korea was the biggest buyer for Indian meal in those years. The biggest quantity they used to import was from India, and the largest destination for India. Now South Koreans, I won't say that they are, I must say, the same kind of culture or people, okay. Now there is a different kind of buying system in Korea. They buy collectively. Like if there are 400 industries, everyone gives their mandate to their association to jointly float tender, international tenders, and seek offers and decide that they, as association, then those quantities are distributed as per the indent being made. So they have, I'm going to get the most competitive this thing, but their buying is so huge that all multinationals flock around, to have their trade with them, because the payments are secured and the buying is very large. But as I mentioned, this the the major problem was with South Korea, and this were they had a meeting there. So we went first to the embassy. Ambassador welcomed joint secretary with the same rank of people, and then he insisted, sir, I would also like to accompany for this meeting since joint secretary is there. So we said that it is a business meeting. Anyway, you are already, getting all to mediate things, and but he insisted to join the meeting, and he came there. Now we reach Korea Feed Association with the first, audiences with the chairman. He was so violent, I tell you. You cannot even feel. People brought some trays of samples. After we reached there, almost shit. All water damaged cargo received by them, half damaged, burnt. This is what you supplied to us. Seeing that, I think you would be almost nothing to react. What you can say? This is what, but this is actually was not something which we shipped from India, but that was the one by the time it reached there. So we tried to explain to him the same way as we did in Japan. After talking to us, he is saying he's very in an unpleasant way. Even he did not bother that the ambassador is sitting in front of him. He was like almost firing. We thought we have to. What is there? They have went out there. What time, sir? I have to wind up. I can, go for another 10-15 minutes if that's okay, or I should. because it's a lunchtime. I'm sorry, this I can go on for evening, because this is nothing but is real see experience I'm trying to share, and this. Eh? So I thought he has went out his grievances, and we have taken it in our strides without reacting anything adversely. After he spoke to us for more than 45 minutes, he said, "Okay, go inside. Our members are waiting for you to talk to." I said, "There's another meeting, it appears now." So we went inside. Just imagine, 66 of the members, all in a hall double the size of this room, in a table, all were there. And you name any company, an international company, their representative is there, because they are all into that business in some or the other way. Either the trader or the end user or miller. The same way joint secretary starts the meeting that I brought a delegation. We understand there are some issues, and I want my delegation team to talk to, and my team here, our leader of the association would I hand it over to him and then talk to him. Same without any anxiety or something. Patiently I said, "You come here to understand the issues. So we know that there is problem, and we really come here to have a first-hand stock of the situation. And the background is this, that it is the nature's fury which has played this havoc, and it is not in the state which we actually delivered the cargo." And so one after the other was allowed to speak to them. All 66 members, believe me, spoke on that day. Not even one did not, has think to be spared. Okay, he has discussed this, okay. Just imagine, this meeting would have gone how long? Can anyone imagine? From that almost like 12:30, I think 12:15 or 12:30 after meeting the chairman, this meeting went to by 5.5 hours. And everyone was ready with their, arms to fire. But we did not see shown any kind of, this thing that this is not desirable or something. Otherwise, I said that, we know that the contracts are through multinational companies, but we as producers, we thought it was our prime duty to come and understand, because we do not want this trade to, I would say, be seen as that we do not care for our end users or customers. Believe me, sir, by the end of the meeting, 5.5 hours, with all patience, what were the end results? You can just imagine. Satisfying 66 of them was a Herculean task. After the meeting, I think I could see that most of them are satisfied in talking to us. Because in my view, if there's a problem and if you are there to face it and ready to talk to them, 50% of the gravity of the problem is over. The problem is there that with the rest of the 50% would only get resolved by your honest depiction that, okay, the position that you are, what you're talking to them is logic, sense, honesty, and there is a clear, purity of thoughts in terms of that you would wanting to do business with them again. It's not all over for that. So I told my team, well, friends, we have discussed. I think we should invite them for a dinner, all of them, because as a country, they are our esteemed buyers, and it's our duty that we at least offer them a dinner. And you can imagine a dinner in Korean five-star hotel would cost you what? Something like $200 a person. He said, money to kidhar hai? Koi government to dega nahi. We don't need from government. Everyone else make a kitty. This is my money. Everyone put it there and let's do it. Next day morning, I think they were happy after the dinner. The communication was made to chairman again. Sir, we have met, we have discussed, we understood, we have tried to give them the assurance, and what are the effective steps we've taken that I think next supplies would be taken care of in all those respects. We have done new modification in our processing units. Our quality control systems and certifications have been strengthened in terms of getting double quality checks at the point of dispatch and point of shipment. All those things we again tell them, and probably I think they have understood. He says, okay, let us see. So next day we try to meet them. Their other company, another their large cooperative, and before that over breakfast we invited some of the top journalists from Seoul. We talked to them over breakfast, and the result was in all media that you see Indian delegation has come, met, and they have decided to have continuation of business, and this is the assurance they have made and all that. So it appeared. Third, after that we moved to China. China had initially good shipments because they took some supplies in the first October month itself. Even our own companies sent a full shipload, and the cargo was excellent. There was no issue. But the later supplies had this problem, which were water affected. So he said, how can you have in one crop different qualities? So their query was very evident that they never thought one ship quality is good, the other ship quality is bad. Then we explained to them this is the situation, but again, Chinese, have a different this thing. They would try to see where they can make some money out of the whole thing. And but one thing is sure, that such a large user of the product, where everything is saleable, even you supply to them kind of a rejected cargo, there is a market for that. But that they at a price. And in India, all those supplies, which at one time was supplied at $330 a ton, was supplied at $80 a ton. Same crop material. And China was a buyer. Vietnam was a buyer to got that, cheap material, That is something which is, they can consume it for some or other purpose, maybe as a fertilizer also. So we they took us to their Central Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They said, if you don't resolve, there would be arbitration and all those things, which they said. We said, try to, convey to them, the same story. And very politely we said, this is not the intention, it's not done intentionally. And this is something which has actually been the reason, and we have to be, we have made arrangements that all our further supplies would be, I would say, not have those kind of any issues cropping up. After that, we went to Philippines in the last leg of our delegation. Now, Philippines, even the worst of experience. A meeting took place like a classroom. That they were here and one bench, and we were asked to sit like this. The meeting starts, the chairman says, put $2 million here before you talk to us. What, you blatantly cheated us. I mean, that is the kind of approach. They hardly see, this thing, who is before them. what is their intention. They have come here all the way. So without losing cool, the same thing I try to repeat, without any trying to tell them the real things, the reality. After their again I said let the grievances be went out, and we give them the required assurance. And at the end of the meeting again we said, sir, let us join for the dinner, and that kind of a dinner was this thing. So this is 15 days of delegation, 2 weeks of delegation. Believe me, I have not slept for 65-70 hours during all 14 days during this because I was the sole spokesperson for the delegation. And because if so many people say, sometime it gets further get complexed. So they said that if they have to say anything, if I ask them to say something, then they will say. So like that we try to do this thing. The information start flowing to those multinational companies that the Indian delegation did an excellent job in talking to these buyers with whom they have already preferred huge claims, and how they would get settled even they were not in a position to pay those kind of money as compensation. Now with this kind of pacifying those agonized buyers, we try to make them understand that this is totally unintentional and not this thing like a one-time problem. Coming back to India, our association says, sir, 14 days, no reports. What is this delegation doing? I said we were not roaming around. We were doing serious job. And on that day I was our like an AGMR thing. I read the whole report on the plane. We wrote the report of everything, what we did, how we met, and this thing. Just believe, making that effort, 3 weeks, within next 3 weeks, what happens? New inquiries from Korea came in, and India sold close to 3.5 lakh tons of soya meal, valued at 2,100 crores to same buyers. And what is the message comes from chairman of KFA, Korea Feed Association, that your delegation was here, and your chairman made us to assure that the association would look into all these supplies in a way that there are no issues, and on that assurance only we have resumed our trade and ties with India. The same message goes to Indian embassy and also to Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So you see, if we would have not done this, we would have destroyed and damaged our markets permanently. All these important destinations. So facing the problem and taking it as saying, by example, not to run away, understanding, talking to them nicely, I think things sure. And believe me, what we paid to them, only lip service, nothing more than that. Not a dollar is paid as compensation, and business, is resumed. So that is the power of communication, which I thought is important in negotiation in a way. So I thought, let me share you this live experience like that. Maybe many more are there, in my life, because I don't know whether that Prestige is one company which is better known internationally than nationally. And I have traveled across for past over 45 years into the world markets. For our own company, we are exporting to 40 countries. and opened virgin markets for India in more than 25 countries. First ever exports from India was done by us. So I already consumed more than 15 passports all these years. So this is the kind of real marketing effort, because I have known the ultimate buyers, the ultimate end users try to cultivate markets on a direct basis. Unlike most of the people selling through those multinational companies, that has been the reason that I knew what needs to be done, what could be done. And with that confidence, I took the whole thing on my head and led the delegation with those kind of, desired results, I would say, more than our own expectation. So with this, friends, I thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk to you and share my experience with you. Thank you.